Well, welcome to part two of today's Rearden Strategic episode on what's going on today in Colorado. So let's talk a little bit about some of the regulations. Big issue with me is all these ridiculous regulations that are being shown to be basically not necessary. If these things can be so easily repealed with a stroke of a pen from the governor, and it's not causing mass chaos in society, we're not seeing mass problems coming from it, then why do we even have these regulations in the first place? I mean, that's what we should be asking ourselves. If these regulations aren't necessary in tough times, why are they necessary in good times? Case in point is just extended at the beginning of May is that restaurants can continue to offer delivery and pickup for liquor. So I actually had a coworker the other day tell me she went and got Mexican food and got a margarita, a strawberry margarita with her takeout. And it was pretty cool. She got to go home and enjoy it and have a real authentic meal as if she was at the restaurant. Why can't we do this all the time? So this order was set to expire at the end of April. Polis came out on April 30th and basically re-upped it to the end of May. And of course, it's a concession to help the local restaurants and bars try and stay afloat, try and bring in a little bit of money. Not much, but a little bit extra. As you know, if you've been in the restaurant industry, alcohol is one of the higher margin items. You can make some decent money on it. So, you know, it's a good concession, but let's keep this going. This should be going all the time, where you go to pick up dinner for the night on your way home from work and you get some alcohol to take home with you. What's wrong with that?
It's nothing at all. It makes complete sense that if you want to be able to pick up, delivery or have it delivered even, I don't see the harm in it. I don't understand. It's funny in these times, you start seeing all these statutes you didn't even know were there, right? Like in law. And you're like, wow, I didn't even know that was the case, that you couldn't do that or you could do that. And now all of a sudden you look at it and go, well, why was that a law in the first place? Yeah, this is a great, and I keep repeating it, but this is a great time to question authority on everything. Like, why were these laws there in the first place? Why was government so big in the first place? And, it's a good time to see some of these things get stripped out. So that is a bright light in what's going on from a political standpoint for us, at least, is that we're seeing some areas where hopefully these become permanent. It's not just temporary, that they, when they open up, they just leave it and they keep it going.
Yeah, that'd be great. I mean, we're seeing a tragic story I saw in the Greeley Tribune this morning was about cases and cases of beer and kegs of great Colorado craft beer spoiling and going to waste. Restaurants large amounts for St. Patrick's Day, for spring break. They're pretty fully stocked and they haven't been able to sell it. I mean, even with this small concession where they can sell for takeout, they still have a big oversupply and they're gonna have to dump it out. So hey, I got an idea. Why don't they just allow them to sell these kegs to the public? Why can't restaurants, breweries do that already? I mean, that'd be a great idea. Oversupply. Let's save Colorado's craft beer.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, craft beer has been around Colorado for ages, and it's one of those things as an industry we get to be proud of having. We're one of the largest craft brew states in the country, if not the largest. I can't remember where we're at right now, but I mean, come on. You're looking at saving businesses. These are regular folks that had an American dream. They came up with their own recipes of how they were going to brew. They came together, started a small mom and pop shop probably, and they're not all millionaires. In fact, most of them are regular folks living paycheck to paycheck. So absolutely. Let people, I mean, I can't even imagine as a Politico, I look at the campaign offices and how are campaign workers and staff able to work with pizza joints and beer out, right? Doesn't make sense. So there's got to be something there to help these guys out. Yeah, let them sell it. Same with the beef guys. I heard they're throwing out beef and a lot of the milk and things like that from the dairy farmers, and let them sell it to the public. I mean, we have a choice as a consumer to buy it, and government wants to protect us. If I want to buy it, that's on me. So
yeah, definitely. I mean, we saw that. I think we talked about it last week about Wyoming passing that food freedom law, allowing ranchers to sell directly to the public. Something we definitely need to do here. And give credit where credit's due. Jared Polis, when he was in Congress, actually stepped up on some of the food freedom issues regarding raw milk.
That's right. With Thomas Massey.
Like so I think the legislature, if they actually got their act together, they could get something like that passed and get it signed by the governor. They're coming back in session soon, and that's something they should really think about, is deregulating some of these ridiculous laws in order to help small businesses, kind of give them that extra boost so they can bounce back and create more jobs and create a better society for us to live in,
I mean, yeah, we're known in Colorado as one of the best beef producing states here, and we have the opportunity to kind of lead the way on that. And you're right. I remember when Jared Polis, surprisingly, he stood up on a lot of those, on the beef bills and stuff with Thomas Massey and being able to sell locally. And why not? I mean, we're the freedom state in Colorado, or at least we're supposed to be. We can buy marijuana and do all these other things. We can do legalized sports betting. Why can't we just, buy raw milk down the street or buy beef and not have it go to waste? So.
Oh yeah, we're the freedom state for sure, Joe. And you can't forget when Coloradans fought off the Soviet and Cuban invasion back in 1984 during a little event called Red Dawn.
That's right.
That was in Colorado.
Yeah.
We got Galt's Gulch from Ayn Rand's famous novel, Atlas Shrugged. That was in Colorado. That's where all the entrepreneurs came. Let society decay. I mean, we are the freedom state, as you said, first in the nation to decriminalize cannabis. There's a lot we've been doing. Colorado was even the first state to give women the right to vote by referendum.
I didn't know that.
1993. Yeah, a long time. And one other fun thing you might not know either is that Colorado was actually the first state where voters rejected an Olympic Games.
I didn't know that. Yeah.
You know that one? It was a 1972 ballot initiative. The voters were asked if they wanted to try and get the Olympics here, and they said no.
That's Governor Lamb, I think, opposed it, right? He pushed back.
Yeah.
I believe so. Yep. Yeah, I mean, there's so many opportunities, and now the legislature is open. I did see an article just popped up today about some of the Republicans in the Ohio legislature had put forth a measure. I think it really would be wise in Colorado to see some of our representatives come together and senators come together here and do the same thing. But the truth is, right now, we know there's too much power for the governor right now. That's the fact. He's controlling everything that's happening in the state, and he can blame it on the health department. He can blame it on all these other things. But the fact of the matter is he's the one with the power, and he's the one that's pushing the agenda. So as the governor is doing this, you got to ask yourself, when we first started, this was supposed to be, 14, 15 days?
Yeah.
Social distancing, just social distancing. 14 days, that's it. And then it became, we're in like week 7 now, I think. And you got to ask yourself, why does the governor have so much power to control a full state for 7 weeks without any checks and balances? The government's always supposed to have checks and balances. Well, he doesn't have any checks and balances right now. So in Ohio, what they did is they introduced a bill that would force, after 14 days in a health crisis, health crisis, the governor can set up something for 14 days and the health departments can set something up for 14 days to make sure that the public's safe. But after that 14 days, it gets kicked back to the legislature so that there's checks and balances on what's going on. Makes sense to me.
Makes big sense.
Yeah. So if a pandemic happens like this, yes, health department doesn't know what's going on and everybody's confused about how to handle it. They can come in and take care of things until they know what's up. But after that 14-day mark, you have to have a check and balance in place through the legislature. And in their case, they had a committee. It wasn't even a full legislature. It was a committee that was from that, 5 people from the House, 5 people from the Senate come together, and they will decide how much power the government has if he's overdoing it or not. So it's an extra check and balance to make sure that you don't have abuse by the executive office, which is what our country was founded on, was having checks and balances. But yet now Governor DeWine in Ohio, unfortunately, has said that he'll veto that bill. And,
of course, right?
Of course, Republicans in the legislature were in favor of the bill, and Democrats are opposed to the bill. And then the Republican governor is going to actually veto it, he said. So it's one of those deals. But here in Colorado, I would love to see something like that happen, even get introduced. I want to know if the governor would be willing to have people question him in the legislature, because that's what we elected him to do.
Right.
Question him.
Definitely. We need that, as you said, check and balance. We need the balance of power. I mean, that's why we've become as free as we are, why we have as much freedom to live our lives as we want, because we don't have just one guy making all the decisions for all of us. We have a group of 100 legislatures, county and state officials, or county and city officials, all through different levels of government, each holding each other accountable and pushing back against each other. And that's how we can maintain or increase our freedom. But we need to decentralize that political authority, return some power to the legislature, give them a little bit more ability to hold the governor in check. That's a great idea. I mean, and that's what needs to happen. I think Colorado can really be a leader in the nation and becoming a little bit freer place to live if we can get some legislation like that passed. Definitely.
Yeah. I mean, right now it's whether it's the governor or even some of the local areas, like these unelected health departments and whatnot, they just have too much power. I mean, it's not that dare I say that, to the conservative and liberty audience out there, I don't think that in their minds they're doing the bad thing or the wrong thing all the time. Maybe they are, maybe they're not. But let's just say that they're doing this because they really think that they're trying to help us. They still need to have that check and balance on them to make sure that they're not overstepping. Because without that, you're not free. We're not free as people, and we're no longer a representative democracy or republic that we're supposed to be. We're actually giving all power to one person or one source of government, and that's dangerous. That's just not safe for anybody on either side of the aisle.
Definitely. It doesn't matter what party you're on. It doesn't matter. No. It's the nature of, are we living in a free society or a tyrannical society? Is it authoritarian or not? That's the oldest story there is, from the Bible through Greek mythology through modern day, is that power corrupts. Absolutely. Power corrupts. So to give somebody absolute power will corrupt them absolutely. I mean, it's such common sense, so exactly, you're exactly right there. It's awesome that some people in Ohio thought of that, and it'd be great to see that exercised here as well. At the state level, and maybe even at the county and city level as well, where we kind of have a little bit more restraint placed on these government officials.
Yep. No, I totally agree. We need to take back some of this power and actually put some checks back in place. Just add some balance. I mean, I think that the public would also feel better about that, because there'd be more inclusion on who's talking and the questions would be being asked publicly. Like right now, we're just being told to sit down and shut up. Do what you're told. The governor said you need to do this. He brings some public nurse on his little press conference. He doesn't bring like an expert doctor. He brought a nurse on. She talks. Great. That's not public discourse. I want to know that my state representative, my state senator, I don't care if they're Democrat or Republican, they're representing me regardless. They got elected. Why aren't they in this? Right. Why aren't they asking those questions? And that's the thing that's missing right now. There's no debate going on. There's no questions being asked. There's nothing. It's just sit down, shut up, and do what you're told.
Well, Joe, don't you think they're pretty relieved, though? Don't you think those state senators and state representatives are relieved that they're not having to make these decisions? They can just tell their constituents, hey, it's the governor's fault. It's the Department of Health's fault. I didn't have anything to do with it. Don't blame me. I mean, what do you think?
It's insane.